Today's episode is brought to you by Surfshark. If it feels like the internet is getting more dangerous by the second, and feel that hackers have more ways to target you, trackers are following your every move, and malware is hiding all over the web, luckily there is a solution. You can get a VPN. Essentially, it will hide your location and make you more difficult to identify and target. But privacy and security are not all that Surfshark has to offer. If you have a VPN, you will forget all about those pesky geo restrictions. Everything from news sources to social media apps that have become unavailable to you because of your location. All you need to do is change your virtual location and access all the entertainment you want safely and securely. And the best part is you can try out Surfshark completely risk-free because they have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So get Surfshark VPN at surfshark.deals/TTD. And don't forget, enter promo code TTD for 83% off and 3 months free. But now, on with today's show. Well, today, I invite you all to join me in exploring the importance of financial literacy. It still baffles me why it's not taught in schools and the problems it causes, and I am hopeful, though, that technology might be able to change that. But I don't want to reveal any spoilers. I want to get straight into it today. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way stateside, where Adam Moelis from Yotta Savings is waiting to share his story. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Adam. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yep. So I am a co-founder and CEO of Yotta, a consumer fintech app. I'm sure we'll get more into it, but we make banking and finance fun for people.
Man, that's a tall order, isn't it? Making banking and finance fun. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about that in a minute. But before we do, can I ask you to share your origin story, where your passion for tech and finance came from, and what lit the spark and put you on this path you're on right now?
For sure. So I grew up, everyone in my family was pretty much in finance, so was always exposed to it. I went to Wharton Business School, studied finance and accounting, actually. Worked at Goldman Sachs right after college. So I was deep in the finance world. And just personally, through observing the world, I've always had a passion for behavioral psychology, how and why people make the decisions they make that are often irrational. And so after Goldman, I actually went to learn how to code. I had done some programming in high school and I really liked it. I liked building things and creating things. And so I realized that was more of my passion and interest. Was I liked finance, but I also liked building things and knew I probably wanted to start something on my own one day. So I learned how to code, not necessarily to be an engineer, but to be able to understand how digital products work. And then I worked at a startup for about 3 years before starting Yotta. And back to the behavioral psychology piece, there's some stats out there I'm sure people are aware of. Half of the country struggles to save for an emergency in the US. At the same time, half the country spends anywhere from $600 to $1,000 a year on the lottery. And so this sort of dichotomy between the lack of savings, but not lacking spending money on the lottery, where you lose half of what you put in, got me going down this path of how can we help get people to save. And I think part of it is the lottery, gambling. People love it because it's instantly gratifying. You get that moment, that rush. Saving is kind of the opposite. You do it for a long time and maybe it pays off 5 years from now, but it's certainly not paying off tomorrow. And like eating vegetables, it's not something that people are good at doing when it's the payoff is down the road. And so the idea was, let's bring some instant gratification to saving, and hopefully that helps people do more of it.
So many great points there. I love what you've created, and it was that path that led you to Yotta. And like you said, it's a fintech startup on a mission to help Americans become more financially secure. But everything you're talking about is a universal problem. So can you expand on that and how you're helping customers with technology and also making it fun along the way too?
Yep. So I think this concept of making something fun so people can do it, 10, 20 years ago, I guess something like Yotta could have emerged, but it would have been more difficult because there weren't these easy user interfaces people could use, whether desktop. I mean, we're mobile focused, but being able to be on a dynamic screen in your pocket opens itself up to a lot of ways to make banking more fun. And for hundreds of years or however long, banking has kind of operated the same way. Every month you get paid a few bucks of interest if you're lucky. There's not really much that has changed, but now that we have these products and interfaces, it allows technology to be used to create those gamified layers on top of banking. Or gamified is probably overused, but yeah, let's call it gamified. That wasn't really easy to do before.
And a recent study showed, I was reading before you came on the podcast, that over half of Americans wish they'd learn more about money in school and scored themselves low when it actually came to understanding financial literacy. And I would say it's exactly the same over here in the UK too. And some other stats, I mean, you mentioned stats a few moments ago, but I also read that 40% of Americans can't come up with $400 if they come across an emergency. And even though 40% of Americans struggle to save, Americans spend $80 billion on the lottery every year. But can you tell me more about the importance of financial literacy, and why is it you think that schools are not teaching this stuff? Because I know it's the same here in the US, and I suspect everywhere, right?
Yep. This is another topic I'm pretty passionate about. It's incredibly important. I mean, financial literacy and personal finance applies to everybody. It's not 90% of people, it's 100% of people. Everyone should know how a debit card works, how a credit card works, the importance of a credit score, the importance of saving, the stock market, the risks, how to save for retirement, all these things. And we grow up in elementary school, and let's go to high school, where you might learn calculus, you might learn Romeo and Juliet, or you might read Shakespeare and talk about how the characters felt on page 35, right? And write essays about, I don't know if it's in the UK, but we write essays about, what happened with Shakespeare. And you never learn any of these basic things that are important for your actual life. And sure, calculus is great and Shakespeare is great, but this should be taught in high school. People should learn about personal finance. We should be learning about stuff that can make us comfortable for retirement and things like that. And I went to Wharton, a business school, and studied finance, and a lot of what we learned in Wharton was theoretical, like complex valuation of companies, very theoretical, accounting, rules, but you never learn the basics. And even at Wharton, I would say a good percentage of people graduate without the understanding of the fundamentals, and that's a group that is probably the most savvy. So I mean, I think one of the biggest things we could do as a society is teach more useful things to people in high school, elementary school, middle school, and a lot of that is financial literacy. I think there's other things as well, but rather than learn the third derivative of some crazy equation for calculus, I think knowing how a credit card works would help. And of course, I'm making it an extreme example with calculus, but like every school should be teaching financial literacy.
Yeah, I remember reading Rich Man, Poor Dad years ago, and that got me thinking that, you got one side where it's go to school, get a job to work and earn money, where the other side of it was actually get your money to work for you instead of putting it on things that just lose your money. But again, it blows my mind that we don't teach kids this at an early age. And I don't want to get into conspiracy rabbit holes, but there's something wrong there, isn't there?
Oh, totally. I could not agree more. And I think if I ruled the world, one of the things I would change, there's a lot of things I would change, but one of the things I would change is education, and make sure we're teaching practical things to people.
And another stat I was reading, I think it was the Consumer Federation of America, they released a report that less than 30% of households own traditional savings account at a bank, and the typical account had around $1,000 in savings maximum, which I know there'll be a lot of people listening thinking, I wish I had $1,000 in savings. But how are you attempting to change all that with Yotta?
Yeah, so the lack of savings, I mean, in some ways it's not as simple as I make it in terms of make it fun for people. That's not the only reason people struggle to accumulate savings. There's income issues where people aren't making enough money. Stuff comes up, they have to pay an emergency early, and that's real. And I acknowledge that. And one of the things we're trying to do is not necessarily tackle those issues, which I think are definitely issues. We are more focused on this group that has the money to spend on lottery tickets, right? It's there. They're five. What's five? People think, what's $5 a week on the lottery? Oh, it feels like nothing. But over 52 weeks of a year, that's $260 that you could have had that you likely lost to the lottery. And so we're focused on people who do have the money that they could be saving, but struggle to for behavioral purposes. And so at Yotta, the way it works is you open an account, and the more you save, you basically get chances to win prizes. And we have this big jackpot of $10 million every week, but you can also win a variety of other prizes. And the idea is we make it feel like you're playing the lottery, but you're saving. And if you don't win a prize, you didn't lose anything. So the more you save, the kind of more fun you have, because the more chances you have to win these prizes. And so that's the angle we're approaching it with. And that's how we're trying to help solve the problem.
So for every $25 you save on Yotta, you get a weekly reoccurring ticket to enter the lottery and that grand prize of $10 million there. I'm curious, as a Brit chatting to you here, are prize-linked savings accounts a new product over there?
Yeah, so it was illegal for the most part until 2015, 2016 in the US to launch a product like this. It's a bit more nuanced than that, but pretty much was not allowed. In the UK, it's actually been pretty big for a long time. The government runs a program called premium bonds. In New Zealand, there's a similar program called bonus bonds, or there was. And there's been some other countries that have had this. But in the US, it couldn't have really been done before 2016. And that's part of the reason why it's new here.
And there's a whole debate about premium bonds over here in the UK, because obviously you've got a chance of winning money, but you don't get interest, etc. And people try and weigh up your chances of winning versus if you put it in a bank and earn interest, etc. Do you have a similar debate over there with your accounts?
Yeah, I would say so. We pay people 20 basis points even if they don't win anything. So we do both. People can win the big prize, they can win a small prize. If they win nothing, their money is still growing. Yeah. So we try to combine the best of both worlds there. The reality is, if we can help get someone to save more than they otherwise would have, it's a win. And yes, we're paying the money no matter what. Even if they don't win, you get something.
Oh, cool.
The real goal is for you to have that money in the first place. And so if you have a savings account that you've built up to $1,000, that's a win, even if you didn't win a big prize.
So for anyone listening in the US, can you just walk me through what they can expect and walk me through how they'd be able to get up and running?
Yeah, so it's simple. You would just go to our website, probably. You don't have to. It's withyotta.com, and then there's a download link. Right now, it's a mobile app only. We're working on a web app. Once you download the mobile app, you sign up, create an account, email, password. You have to give the normal information you would to open any bank account. So your birthday, phone number, things like that. And then you fund the account through a deposit method of your choice. It could be connecting a bank account for a transfer. You could push funds into Yotta from another account. You could do a check deposit. You could do a cash deposit. So fund the account, and every $25 you put in earns you a ticket. Every week we draw winning numbers, and each of your tickets has a set of numbers you can either pick, or they get auto-picked for you if you'd like. And every night a winning number is revealed, and you could win prizes every week. And there's a lot more to it than that, but that is fundamentally how you get up and running. It's that simple.
And what stands out about you is you have this eclectic skill set, because you've got a degree, interest in personal finance, technology, and a passion for behavioural psychology. I'm curious, how has that all helped you build your success at Yotta? Because from the outside looking in, I can see elements of all of your skill set there in what you've created here. But how do you think it's helped you?
And one of the reasons when thinking about starting this company was thinking about like why I am the right person to solve this problem or build this. And part of it is because the Yotta as a product, like you said, fits a lot of my background in terms of skills necessary to execute. So I have the finance angle, I have the behavioral psychology angle, I understand programming and coding and building apps, done it before. And all of those things to serve as a co-founder, CEO type role are very important because my job is effectively in all parts of the business, whether it's the technical, whether it's the business side, whether it's the finance calculations, the behavioral psychology, and designing the product. So the fact that I personally have experience in all these different subsectors, maybe I'm not a deep expert in any one of them, but I'm pretty deep on most on all of them. Really helps because I can understand all aspects of the business, basically.
And what's next for Yotta then? What's your grand vision for the future? Is there anything you can share about the road ahead and what your customers can expect in the future?
We started with savings, and as we've grown, our customers have wanted to be able to use us for more than just savings to do day-to-day banking. And so we are pretty focused on being a place where people can do everything they need to do in their financial lives, save money, invest, spend money, anything you might want to do, send money to a friend, anything that someone might need to do in their financial life that we want them to use us for. And we want to replace the usual suspects people go to, Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, that aren't offering differentiated services. They're usually not giving much in terms of rewards or value to their customers. So we want to be that destination for people that they think of when they want to open a new bank account. And we want to be able to serve all the use cases someone might have.
Well, we started the podcast today talking about your origin story, but now we've come full circle. I'm going to ask you, was there a song, piece of music, movie or book that has inspired you or helped you in your career? If you can share your choice and maybe a story behind it, and we'll leave the listeners on an inspirational note. What would yours be?
The one that comes to mind is a book, Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, the Nike founder.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there about just needing to run through walls constantly as an entrepreneur building a company. Stuff always goes wrong. There's always fires to put out, and you just got to stay persistent and passionate about the cause and the mission, and be willing to adapt and adjust and listen to customers and do whatever it takes to succeed. And the story of Phil Knight and Nike involved a lot of difficult times. I mean, we see Nike now and you think it was just an easy straight line, linear path to success. And you see this with a lot of companies, but he really dove into the details of what it took to get that company off the ground and to be the success it was. And it's not easy, and it's just inspirational not to give up. And when things go wrong, just figure out what you need to do and move quickly and solve problems. So.
Awesome. Love that. I'll get that added to our list. And you mentioned it a few moments ago, but can you just remind the listeners of where they can find Yotta online and best way of contacting your team if anyone listening's got any additional questions too?
Yeah, the best way is to find us on our website with Yotta.com. It's Yotta. You can also search for Yotta, Yotta, on the App Store or Play Store. You can contact us, our team, at any time, hi@withyotta.com. We're pretty responsive. We're on every social media platform. Yotta Savings is our handle on almost every platform. So you can tweet at us, you can email us, you can download the app and chat with us. We are very responsive, so feel free.
Love that. And one of the themes of this podcast, something I always say at the end of every episode is technology works best when it brings people together. But what you're doing here and using technology to help people make healthier financial decisions and become more financially secure while making it fun. Man, you tick a lot of boxes there. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and share your story.
Thanks for having me, Neil.
From my younger years, I clearly remember the route of go to school, get a job, get a house, have kids. But to make any of that a success, you need to understand how to manage your finances. And yet still, it's one of those subjects that has never been taught in school. Or has that changed? I don't know, I'm getting on in years now. Wherever you listen in the world, is that something that they teach you in school? Do you have a story to share? Good, bad, indifferent, anything at all? Or you got any questions? Email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram @NeilCHughes. But don't just follow me. Send me a DM. Say you listen to the show so I know who you are. But we'll tackle another subject tomorrow. I am interested in what you thought of everything we covered today, but just a big thank you as always for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.